Hey everyone, Mitch Marner update. A lot of people keep asking me what I think is going to happen with Marner and just the whole scenario. I mean, it's just crazy to think, like Frank Saravalli's talking about, there's like less than 5% chance Marner returns. And then you have Darren Dreger, noted fan of Mitch Marner, talking about how he thinks Trey Living would rather extend than trade. And I mean, go watch the clip on First Up or listen to the clip. I think it's insane. You know, it's everyone's commenting on the Instagram page. It's insanity to keep running it back. I think this public stuff is just a bunch of games, but we'll see, right? Marner's got the control with the no movement clause, but I think there's a scenario where you just, and I've talked about it with people, you just go, hey man, you're not going to get re-signed here. Why don't you, like other guys have, like a Chuck or any of those guys? I know those were different scenarios with RFA or not no movement clause status, but just work with the guy. Go, hey, we're not going to re-sign you. We can give you a head start. We can give you exactly the deal you want. We'll pay you. If you want the $12 million, we'll pay you the $12 million. Don't put a no movement clause on it. We'll pay you the $12 million. Just tell us the team. What teams do I think Marner's going to go to? Well, I think it could be Vegas. I think it could be Nashville. I think it could be teams that, whether it's a good tax situation for the state, along with a team that competes right away. I just don't see a scenario where the guy actually thinks it's going to work out here for Toronto. Like, it hasn't. Like, you got drafted in 2015. It just hasn't. So unless the Leafs can really, really make it a thing where they balance the lineup with their current contracts, Tavares signs like the biggest hometown discount ever of all time. You build a defense group, and Joseph Woll is your franchise goalie and can stay healthy. Well, then maybe, Mitch, maybe it can work out in Toronto, but it just hasn't, right? So shout out to Leafs Nation. You're looking at Golden Knights, Blackhawks, Stars, and Preds as the four top teams for Marner, potentially from David Pagnotta. Yeah, I mean, I've talked about Golden Knights. I've talked about Preds. So those make sense. And Liljegren, I mean, we've talked about either Liljegren or Jarnkrok just being attached to this Marner deal. Liljegren, it's very likely he's dealt in a separate deal or in the Marner deal. So we'll see what happens. So this is one of the scenarios I had with the Nashville situation. And again, there's probably draft picks involved here, other pieces, but talking about like Evangelista, Fabro, Saros, the three main pieces going to Toronto, right? I've talked about looking at bringing back O'Reilly or Shen. If that doesn't happen, those are the three targets I would have. Evangelista in forward, Fabro defense, Saros the goalie, and the Leafs send that package. I actually think that's a win-win for both teams, right? Nashville gets their top line forward. They get a younger defenseman. Like a Fabro Liljegren is kind of a one-for-one change of scenery swap. I could literally see that being a one-for-one deal, to be honest. If Nashville and Toronto, Trotz and Trey Living got on the phone, I think Fabro Liljegren would be a fair one-for-one, to be honest. And both those guys could benefit from a change of scenery. Full out. So I could see that being a fit. And Jarnkrok and Evangelista, I mean, same production. Obviously, Evangelista's young, and he's going to be way better than Jarnkrok. But in my opinion, I think most people with common sense realize the value for Marner. Even with all this bullshit, Marner, in the grand scheme of things, is a much more valuable player than Saros, even though Saros probably could get draft picks and prospects right away with no trade restrictions, where Marner has full control. So that's the problem. But in terms of value of this deal, it's pretty good. Leafs clear the cap space, send Kampf back to his buddy Keefe's place, and the Leafs trade with their old buddy Doobie to get an upgrade. I think Eller's going to provide more offense and a veteran presence and deeper playoff experience, right? So then all of a sudden, you're looking at a defense group where you sign, if you see at the bottom here, you sign Tanev to that cap it, you bring back Bertuzzi Domi, you bring back Edmondson, and you sign Montour, and look at that. You still have cap space with a 22-man roster. So your defense group is Riley Tanev, McCabe Montour, you got Saros and Woll as the goalie tandem, and then you got the last defense group here, Edmondson, Fabro, Benoit. And then your forward group, you got Matthews, Domi, Bertuzzi, you got Robertson, Tavares, Evangelista, little London Knights represent there. Then you got Nyes, Cowan, Nylander. What a third line. That could be an energy, big-time offense third line. And then I like that fourth line shut down. You can have Eller and like McMahon as one penalty kill unit, and then the second penalty kill unit could be like a Minton Nyes or Minton Matthews. Get the Matthews PK look, but I think you could have the 4 PK guys there. Reeves is the extra forward. And so that's the Nashville scenario. And then again, there's could be draft picks involved. The Vegas scenario would be a 3-for-3 or 4-for-4 swap as well. Liljegren, Marner, Robertson, Steves, and then you get kind of like, again, similar Nashville core whereas you get a third line center, you get a goaltender, and you get a top 4 defenseman. So if you look, again, the Nashville one's Evangelista, a winger, but this one you get the actual big third line center. You sign Montour still at the same cap hit, same years for this one. You don't get Tanev, but you get Montour. And then since you got Shea Theodore, your top 4 is Riley Theodore, fellow BC guys. Second pair, McCabe Montour. Riley is alleviated of that number 1 power play pressure. You get Montour on the number 1 power play. The second power play's got 2 defensemen in Riley Theodore. And then you got Edmondson Timmins on the third pair with Benoit as the extra one. And your goaltending, I mean, that's a solid 1-2 punch and less than $2 million combined. So I love that. And then your forward group still with cap space with this time a 23-man roster. You've got Cowan, Matthews, Domi, Nyes, Minton, Nylander, Bertuzzi, Waugh, Tavares, McMahon, Kampf, Yarncrow. So in this scenario, you don't even trade Kampf, Yarncrow. You have a 23-man roster, and you still have over $1 million of cap space. If anything, I think this Vegas one is the best scenario, especially if you can re-sign Shea Theodore. Look at that top 4. That is up there for one of the better top 4s in the Eastern Conference with Riley, Theodore, Montour, McCabe. That's really solid. Offense, puck moving, like all across the board, you've got in your top 4. Probably lacking a bit of that strong defense presence, but at any point you can restructure that. And for example, you could like throw Edmondson on a shutdown pair with McCabe and then slide Montour down with Benoit and then have Timmins. Like you could do that at any point, or same with Theodore. Or if Theodore doesn't work out, you flip him mid-season. And again, I'm just talking out loud here, but I think what I'm getting at is Vegas and Nashville are the 2 best scenarios for Toronto to have a complete roster without Mitch Marner. And then even if you like canceled that out and I don't know, they didn't trade Marner, I think a Fabro-Liljegren swap could be something interesting, or just going after Saros, sending Yarncrow and maybe Kampf in the deal, and then trading your first-round pick and a younger player to get Saros. Again, I think if there's any scenario where you're keeping Mitch Marner, you have to get a significant goalie to partner up with Wool. I don't think Bressois enough. I know those rumors have been out there. And I think you have to get a D-man in free agency. And apparently there's rumors right now that Trey Living's targeting at least 2, whether it's Montour, Tanev, Zadorov. I'm worried a little bit about the Zadorov term, but we'll see what happens. But the Vegas or Nashville, and I honestly, guys, I see some really, really delusional proposals from Leaf fans out there. But I don't think that these scenarios here are delusional. I actually think there's probably going to be Leaf fans in the comments saying that's not enough for Mitch Marner. So that's kind of been the vibe I've been getting from both sides. You have non-Leaf fans calling the Leaf fans delusional, and then you have Leaf fans expecting the world. Like the fact that there's Leaf fans out there that think you're getting, like I saw one proposal for the Nashville Predators. It was like you're getting a first-round pick, Evangelista, Saros, and like O'Reilly, for example, and prospects. Like it's just they get bigger and bigger every time I see them. Or like I've seen proposals where like you go to Vegas and you're getting like William Karlsson and Shea Theodore and a first round pick, and I'm like, let's relax here. So I think this one's realistic in terms of the structure, and I think this one is realistic in terms of the structure as well. If Marner was to waive to one of these 2 teams. We'll see. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching the video. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like, hit the notification bell. Let me know what you guys think a Marner trade could look like, and just updates on the Leafs roster. But again, these 2 scenarios would be very ideal for me, and I think you're talking about a very built roster that's looking better for the playoffs. So we'll talk soon, guys. Comment your thoughts as always, and any video recommendations. We'll talk soon. Peace.